Hi, this is my new character, Legendaddy Perm. We'll be playing on the hardest difficulty, and the twist is that if Legendaddy Perm dies once, we'll send him straight to hell. Let's begin. I chose for Legendaddy to be an orc because their rage issues help keep them alive. In an effort to be speedy, Legendaddy irreparably damaged his meniscus, but that didn't stop him from escaping Helgen. Safely underground, he took the gear off of a fallen soldier, then used his shirtless body as a distraction to deal with enemies. This is known as guerrilla warfare. The distraction was successful and a sneak attack was prepared. The thrill of combat was something that was not new to Legendaddy. Ever since he was a young orc with lovely curls, he dreamt of being a stealthy archer with a knack for one-handed combat and blocking, alongside some basic alchemy knowledge, and maybe some conjuration too, we'll see. Having bested their foes, Legendaddy and Ralof ventured deeper into Helgen Keep. Being a gentleman and an illiterate scholar, he did Ralof the courtesy of going first. That way, he could hold the attention of enemies while he himself searched for shirtless distractions. It did not work. Being fragile of mind, Legendaddy did what most men do when being backed into a corner. Unwarranted rage. At this moment we're doing double damage, and this is exactly what early game Legendary is supposed to look like. With one foe left, Legendary got rid of him with a lethal yet frowned upon technique passed down to him by his uncle, known only as the Birmingham Backstab. What followed was a local flash mob. After which the berserker's rage died down. Now calm of mind, Legendaddy found himself cornered once again, surviving only by the fact that he had his shield raised and that you can pause at any time to have food that heals your wounds. Desperate enough to resort to using restoration magic, Legendaddy was saved in the nick of time by his new racist friends, who were now able to say that they didn't mean anything by it as they had an orc for a friend. Together, they turned the tide of the battle, and then Legendaddy impressed him with his marksmanship until he didn't. Fortunately, he had better luck with some spiders further down, but that was mostly because they didn't follow you past a certain point, but I don't have to put that in the video. The last obstacle that the Helgen cave had was a bear. His weakness was mainly keeping your distance and then barraging him with a tenfold of arrows, and that's a Legendary escape from Helgen. With a new lease on life, he immediately engaged in grave robbing for some starting gold. On the hunt for food, he found an emerald in a carcass, which would go nicely with some potatoes and cabbages, and through sheer serendipity, he learned a few tricks from the local crystal meth chef. This would come in handy later. He then proceeded to kick a wolf. Understanding the importance of a balanced diet, Legendaddy is always looking for locally sourced ingredients. His favorite meal is vegetable soup. This video is not sponsored by HelloFresh. Vaguely understanding the importance of the dragon situation, Legendaddy sets off to Whiterun to help with the dragon attacks, but not before using the local mage's meth lab, which he then sold for a handsome profit, funding his future tomfoolery as well. After ethically acquiring a horse, he set off north for the Lord Stone. This stone makes it so that you have more armor and magic resist, which is something that is desperately needed in a life that is as violent as Legendaddy's. For he lacks the risk to talk himself out of situations, such as these.
Riften, you need to pay the visitor's tax.
I have no money, but maybe you'd be open to an arrangement.
Nope. Not even close.
Understandable.
Undeterred, Legendaddy set off to the other gate to see what would happen.
If you want to get into Riften, use the north gate. This one's closed.
This was news to me after 13 years of playing, so I went back to Whiterun to get some more gold. After gaining entry to Riften, I helped out Shudder to get an invisibility potion. Legendaddy then spanked an old woman on the butt. She promptly died. Feeling remorse, he started the quest Ill-Met by Moonlight, but not before activating the Shrine of Arche, which gives 25 extra health points. After a successful first day, it was time to listen to some tunes and then go to bed. This will result in us getting kidnapped by the Dark Brotherhood, which didn't really turn out to be a problem.
Wait, who are you again?
Having escaped the Dark Brotherhood and with a freshly new upgraded set of armor, it was time to gather some ingredients. He also found the time to train some archery, which was promptly ruined by a passing deer. Legendaddy's travels then brought him to Solitude in the hopes of acquiring some ingredients. Living life with efficiency in mind, he engaged in some side quests as well.
What do you think of my undergarments?
It's quite fetching, actually. The craftsmanship is excellent.
Thanks.
Legendaddy then proceeded to enter the catacombs in search for additional ingredients. Now this is easily in the top 100 moments when I almost pissed myself when playing Skyrim. Being so close to death activated Legendaddy's Berserker's Rage and he was able to make short work of the remaining skeletons. Afterwards he treated himself to some hanging moss. This also felt like the appropriate time to collect the shrouded armor from the Dark Brotherhood. Legendaddy was now dripped the f**k out, giving him the confidence to invent Hypno on the spot. He would now be ready to tackle the rest of the quest Ill-Met by Moonlight. Cautiously notching an arrow on his trusty bow, he readied himself for the shot. His target then left his line of sight.
Fuck.
This is where his paralysis poison did the trick, since the stack tends to run away quite fast, regenerating health while he does. Like most combat encounters, taking away someone's ability to walk would ensure victory. Immediately after, another problem arose. If you go around stealing too much stuff, it's possible for some of your victims to send hired thugs on your ass. Legendaddy's ass was no exception. In the early game, a similar fight would look like this on Legendary. The most viable move was to flee, and Legendaddy hauled ass back to Falkreath, hoping for a guard to save him. They didn't. After a half day of in-game time, they finally left him alone and he was able to continue the quest. But first, he had to prepare, and he spent some time chopping firewood to make into arrows. He then decided to specialize in steelsmithing as a side hustle, which gave him the expertise needed to make steel arrows. Having done everything he could, Legendaddy was now ready to face off Sinding, which is quite easy to do on Legendary if you have the support of the hunters with you. So imagine Legendaddy's dismay when he found out that all of them had been killed. Forced to think quickly on his feet, Legendaddy summoned a Flame Atronach. This would keep Sinding occupied while Legendaddy angrily shot poisoned arrows at him. The trick was to never let Sinding get too close, and due to his pathfinding AI, this was not really a challenge. Despite him getting close a few times, he never once laid a hand on me. From a distance, Legendaddy was able to lose quite a few arrows into him, and then he started whiffing. After a 5-minute back and forth, Sinding was on his last legs, and with one fatal shot, he got Legendaddied. Having proven himself in the way of the bomb, it was time to set off the Bleak Barrow. On his advance, he made use of techniques he had employed earlier, like shooting people. Legendaddy was aware that shield bashing is one of the most broken mechanics you can use in Legendary difficulty. Don't ask me how he knows this. One downside is that it makes every combat encounter look like this, which makes it really hard to make something entertaining out of it as a video creator. On the other hand, it does mean that Legendaddy would soon become a master of the block skill, but first there's more of this. Once he got inside, he immediately started blasting. To spice his playstyle up a bit, he raised his victims from the death and then set them on their former partners. An environmentalist at heart, Legendaddy would be using his new thralls to train the block skill. Now a little known fact about this part is that if you do nothing, the bandit will still die. Cause he's stupid. He would then be used for block training. This allowed Legendaddy to employ the deadly technique known as Power Bash. It was then time to face off against a giant spider. Now if you stay behind this little nook, he will never come to you, hopefully. To speed up the kill, Legendaddy poisoned his arrows with the essence of his fallen brethren. It was dope, and it earned him a level up, which he invested into health, after which he was tasked with cutting Arvel down, which he did. He proceeded by making good use of his environment and by using illiteracy as an excuse for not understanding the contents of the Geneva Convention. And I don't know what happened here, but it was funny. Our path was almost clear. The only obstacle left was a restless Draugr, but he would soon find himself Legendaddied upon. The way was clear to the Dragonstone, but before fighting the boss, we found a circlet of minor conjuration. This would go well with Legendaddy's luscious locks. Having unlocked the power to Power Bash, one could argue that Legendaddy is a bigger threat to Skyrim than the dragons could ever hope to be. Just look at this shit. And that's how we uncovered the Dragonstone from Bleak Barrow. Tune in next time to see us help the people of Skyrim finding love.
You mean I should just tell her? Tell her how I feel?
Yes, King.